lot of complexity. The employment laws are getting more complex. Organizations are definitely seeing a greater degree of litigation, expensive, right? And one of the big things that I am seeing and have been seeing it for quite some time, we're putting managers, especially when they've been individual contributors, like a technician that works in a shop, and suddenly now at the stroke of midnight, oh, you're the shop manager. Wow, does that tech know at the stroke of midnight everything they need to know to supervise the shop and the team? Nope. And we're kind of throwing folks to the wolves. And then we wonder why we're having to deal with so much employee foot traffic, and we're having to launch investigations into inappropriate conduct and this kind of thing. Especially, we see it a lot with employees today using the buzzwords. And I devoted one of the episodes on my podcast to that. You have a lot of employees that when their manager sits them down to have a performance conversation, they're not taking that feedback well. In some cases, it's warranted. Other times, maybe the manager's approach and how the feedback was delivered was a little rough. And then the employee comes across using buzzwords like hostile work environment, bullying, and then here we are, right? One really important thing that you need to take away from this is evaluate, how are you handling promotions into leadership? What sort of professional development are you giving them so that they are prepared? If you're just assuming because somebody is a really talented employee at their job, whether it's a technician or you're having somebody who's a software developer suddenly now run a department, just because they're good at their craft, their trade, their profession, that does not automatically mean that they are prepared for what they're going to get into in this thing called leadership. All right. There's a lot of change that goes on when you move into that role. The other things that are going on that I'm seeing is with the ADA, since it was amended back in 2011, we do have a lot more accommodation requests. And sometimes what I see as an investigator, especially with some of our clients, are kind of disabilities of convenience. Okay. And what I mean by that is you do have sometimes individuals that are really not making good faith complaints. They're actually making bad faith complaints. And they're not really being honest about the fact that there really is a legitimate disability. They may really just try to game the system so that they can have a better schedule, so that they could work remote. Right. But then the flip side of that is investigations into allegations that supervisors are just shutting down the accommodation discussion. A lot of leaders truly do not understand their compliance obligations with ADA. You know, an employee says, hey, boss, I need to get off work a little early on Friday. Look, I'm having all these medical appointments and I've got to get into the specialist Friday. The managers don't even have their light bulb sort of to come on to go, ooh, that might be ADA. What they do is say, oh no, man, Charlie, I can't let you leave early Friday. See, and they just think about it like it's a request for PTO time. Okay, that's another thing. Newsflash that you need to really manage the risk there. Your leaders need to understand, don't just say no to an employee's request, maybe for some time off or any just request when it's kind of relating to something medical, because the ADA has expanded quite a bit. All right. We're also seeing a lot of unprofessional conduct. I mean, that's really been up since, we came out of the pandemic. All right. So we're seeing a lot more of that.